From an audit perspective, what you're basically looking at is looking at these risks that are specific to the particular organization. The auditor is my trusted advisor, looking at my processes, telling me where I can improve, and hence bringing in that specific change which would have a direct impact on either the cost reduction or revenue increase.
There is another important element that's missing in most audits, and that is the element of continuous monitoring.
The auditor will have to engage with the business people. They have to look at what does the organization depend on IT for.
IT audit at enterprises is an ongoing process and is usually done focusing on one of the set objectives. As Indian companies go global and witness staggering growth numbers, the IT footprint is also increasing, and thus the need to keep reviewing the current processes and increasing technology needs. IT audit entails this exercise of keeping a check on the IT infrastructure. This demands the need for properly defining IT audit.
When you're deploying IT as a business enabler, it comes with its own sets of risks, complexities, advancing technology. There are a number of things that goes into the whole making of technology. So from an audit perspective, what you're basically looking at is looking at these risks that are specific to the particular organization. And it is the type of risks and the complexity of that risk that would determine what you would audit and when you would audit.
Basically, IT audit is an audit of the information systems, infrastructure, and related processes to audit. By itself, it is not an audit in itself, but it's usually conducted in support or in connection with other types of audit.
IT audit should also be viewed in conjunction with other audits. Thus, the scope and interactivity of the IT audit process as a whole increases. So how should CIOs approach the IT audit process?
Within the same industry, two different companies can have two different audit plans because their maturity level could be different. So you might have one organization which is very strong in their security and access, but may be pretty weak in their change controls. So that organization, though within the same industry, might want to focus on a review process, have the auditors come in, look at their change control, and tell them where they need to improve. Within the same industry, you can have B organization, which might be good at change control, but might be weak on security. So they might want to schedule security over change control.
By itself, it is not an audit in itself, but it's usually conducted in support or in connection with other types of audit. For instance, like financial statements audit. So they do perform IT audit because they need to ensure the reliability of information that's generated from the accounting system that is used to produce the financial statements. IT audit can also be done in support of what we call a performance audit, where we look at the efficiency and effectiveness of the business operations. Here, the focus of IT audit is on the utilization of the assets, in terms of how these assets have been used, the resources have been deployed to achieve the business goals and programs. The auditor will have to engage with the business people to facilitate, because they are the right people who know the business better than the auditor. And therefore, we have things like control self-assessment. You have to look at what does the organization depend on IT for. Is it dependent on IT for the business survival, like in the banking industry? Or is it dependent on IT for its operational efficiency? Or is it dependent on IT for the effectiveness of certain programs? Or is it dependent on IT to ensure compliance with the regulations? What is the role of IT in the organization? and hence they can see the importance of IT in that context, and we have addressed the risk accordingly. It boils down to the organization's risk appetite and what they see as the acceptable level of risk and what they can tolerate, because audit has a cost.
What we do at the Bank of India, we have our internal information security audit team. Right? So I have a persons who are the information security auditors. Right? So their job is to go periodically and audit the applications for security vulnerabilities. So in another way, they are doing some kind of information risk assessments. Right? So as to ensure that your information is confidential, your information is integral, and your information is available 24/7 to the end users. Right? In addition to this, we have a separate internal audit division, right, which will take care of the periodical audits of your applications and all. In addition to these audits, which are something like a proactive as well as proactive or preventive kind of a situation, we have also ensured that a risk assessment framework is in place.